Thank you to JC24 for backing me on Patreon. Lathril Blade of the Elves versus Rune of the Hidden Realm, and we have a very good start here. So we are definitely going to keep that. We'll play out a tap land with the Windswept Heath. We'll go for Mana Crypt into Arcane Signet. That'll be a turn 2 Lathril, hopefully. Our opponent doesn't scoop here. And then throw down the Arcane Signet. That can be our turn. We're going for our commander next turn. Hopefully they don't have a swords or a path. And I think I might go for Toski on turn 3. Hopefully hit our opponent with the Lathril and we can start drawing cards. They do play out a Plains on turn 1. And there is Jiraga Tree Speaker, so we can probably go for that alongside Lathril. And then we'll see if they've got a swords or a path at the end of the turn. They pass straight through the turn, so I'm guessing they don't have any removal. Evolving Wilds from our opponents, so getting off to a much slower start than we are. So I think this is hardly a fair game, but I won't underestimate my opponent. Still got 7 cards in hand. Cracking the Evolving Wilds. And we win the flip this time. That is an Elvish Dreadlord. Not going to make use of that. Let's just go for... yeah, we'll level up the Jiraga Tree Speaker first. Because once that's at level 1, it will effectively pay for its own level up. Because it taps down for 2 mana. So we'll tap it down for the 2 mana, throw down Toski, Bearer of Secrets to draw a card. And we managed to hit our opponent, so we'll make a couple of elf tokens, draw with the Toski, like I said. And that is an Elvish Champion. They do have a forest in play now from the Evolving Wilds, so it goes from bad to worse for our opponent. They get into a third colour, and now it is Night of Autumn. They'll blow up the Mana Crypt, I imagine. But we've made good use of the Mana Crypt, don't necessarily need it at this point. They still can't block our commander, even without the Forest Walk, but I think we're going for the Elvish Champion here. Make a land for the turn, that's really good. So let's throw down Elvish Champion. They'll probably just chump block the Toski with the Night of Autumn, I would think. There's one less card for us to draw that way. They don't block with any creatures, curiously, so we draw 4 with Toski, and we'll make 3 elves this time, thanks to the buff from our Elvish Champion. And our opponent scoops there. We were going to draw into some lands, Essence Warden for life gain. This is a different version to the one that is being played in multiplayer on this channel. This is a permanent base deck in which we can play the only sorcery in the deck that I forget the name of. I'll put it up on screen. And you basically flip your library upside down, put it into play, and you can combo off at that point. You can do Aristocrat wins. We've got Concordant Crossroads in the deck, so you can just turn sideways and hit your opponent, whichever way you want to win at that point. But yeah, it is all permanents apart from that one sorcery in this deck. Okay, let's try again and see if we can dodge the Mana Crypt this time. We do. We've got a Dork in Jiraga Tree Speaker. This time up against Tazri, Beacon of Unity. This player said that they didn't want any instant speed counter spells in the lobby, so hopefully we can oblige them here. Like I said, it's all permanents in this deck. So if we can keep our Jiraga Tree Speaker in play, then we're online for a turn 3 Lathril Blade of the Elves. Then it's an island into a Mana Vault for our opponent. We'll just go for the Woodland Cemetery. Don't think it really matters which land we drop there. And then there's nothing to do with that 2 mana, unfortunately, so we'll just level up Jiraga to level 2 with her own mana. You never know, in the long game, getting her up to level 5 might be relevant. And then it is a Simic Signet. They've still got the Mana Vault available to them. That is a Fallen Ideal. Someone recommended that to me on the Tapped Out page, I think it was. Might have been in the comments, but yeah, definitely making use of that one. I think I replaced the Black Blade with this one. Gives both evasion and a buff on there. Let's go for... I think we can get out a tap land this turn, so let's just go for our Lathril. And that does hit play, so we'll go Windswept Heath. And like I said, get down the tapped Shock land. Our opponent's still missing a few colours here, but they've got their Sultai colours. Tapping down the Mana Vault. Draw 2 cards, each opponent discards 2. And each player loses 2 life. Yeah, so we might as well go for the Windswept Heath here. And I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to discard here, to be honest. How about Skemfar Avenger? And it would be nice to get down both Marwyn and Nadia's Nightblade next turn. So do we have to get rid of Fallen Ideal? I mean, that's a sack outlet as well, isn't it? Yeah, we'll get rid of the Nadia's Nightblade there, unfortunately. We do have other aristocrat-style things in the deck, so we'll hopefully draw into them later on. Okay, Heritage Druid is good. Drop the command tower. Let's go straight in for the Marwyn first of all. Marwyn does trigger on tokens entering, unusually. So we will make use of her when the Lathril manages to hit our opponent and make a bunch of tokens. Go for the Fallen Ideal onto there as well. Won't be able to buff with that this turn, but we will next turn. And the tokens that we sacrifice will pretty much replace themselves. Empty-handed at this point, unfortunately, but hopefully we can outrun our opponent. And it looks like they are now untapping the Mana Vault, so they'll have to tap out this turn. That's fine with me. Effectively buys us another turn. Managing to get their fourth colour, so they're still missing white, can't get down their Tazri. That's a Wood Elves for us. Yeah, nothing to do with all this mana. Let's sacrifice an Elf Warrior. And sacrifice an Elf Warrior again. Those two will replace themselves twofold here. Definitely missing the Nadia's Nightblade. We might as well swing in with Marwyn as well. Probably should have gone for the Elves first. I didn't think of swinging in with Marwyn. But yeah, should have got some more power onto her. Get our opponent up to 8 points of Commander, and we'll make 6 Elves, which buffs up the Marwyn nicely, up to a 9/9, so we might be able to get them next turn. Let's drop down the Wood Elves. Buffs the Marwyn, gets us a forest with the Wood Elves. Are they going to play? Yeah, we'll get a basic just in case they go for Blood Moon. We don't have any black mana, unfortunately. And I'm going to leave the Heritage Druid back. Still don't have all their colours over there. They do have 2, 4, 6, 7 mana without the Mana Vault, which might be a Cyclonic Rift. Okay, Mana Confluence. We're just going to have to try and win with what we've got in play at the moment. In fact, what we could do here is go for the 6, 7, 8... No, we don't have enough Elves. I was going to say we could swing in with Marwyn and then use the tap ability on Lathril, but we don't have enough. Yeah, so we'll just swing in with the Lathril and the Marwyn. They've got a pause at the beginning of combat, so this might be the Rift. Can't do anything with Marwyn anyway, so we'll just swing in with her and we'll sacrifice all these Elves. If they go for the Rift, we lose the Elf Warriors anyway. So let's sacrifice all these. They could have spot removal, so getting rid of the tokens would be a bad call here. So maybe we just take ourselves up to 17 damage going in. They're holding up priority for something. So taking Lathril's power up to 8, and then the Marwyn is 10, so it's the moment of truth to see if our opponent can do anything about this. They've got 6 cards in hand, so it's pretty unlucky if they can't. Okay, now going for something. There we are, Cyclonic Rift. I don't think they needed to tap down their Mana Vault to do that, although maybe they've got counter magic for when we replay the Lathril. No point floating mana with the Jaraga Tree Speaker. I think we're going to concentrate on the Marwyn this time. So we'll drop the Mana Confluence, go for Marwyn the Nurturer, and they're still holding up priority, so I do wonder if they've got that counter magic. Well, they don't use it if they've got it. Throw down the Jaraga Tree Speaker, and I'll throw down the Heritage Druid. We can tap those down for 3 mana, because Heritage Druid doesn't care about Summoning Sickness, and that will allow us into the Wood Elves. Everything being allowed down there, so we'll tap those down, go for the Wood Elves. Suppose we should have tried the Lathril, really. Yeah, probably should have tried the Lathril now that I think about it, because we did have the mana for that. Let's just get into a Bayou. You never know, we might draw into a means of overrunning next turn anyway. I'm just assuming that they've got counter magic held up. And it's 10 mana. I remember what the card's called for Primal Surge. It's 10 mana, and we can afford that here. That is Liliana. Will force us to sacrifice the Wood Elves and the Heritage Druid. And that's Cover of Darkness, which will give our stuff Fear. Can't be blocked by artifact creatures and or black creatures. Might see a black creature or two from our opponent. So I think here we're just getting rid of the Liliana. And yeah, we can swing in with the Jiraga Tree Speaker. It might be that every point of damage matters at this point. So we managed to get rid of Liliana. Let's go for the Lathril. And we will put our Aura onto that. Very impressed with Fallen Ideal. That has been a really good suggestion from whoever suggested it, so well done to you. Not untapping the Mana Vault, so that will deal 1 damage to them. And yeah, it looks like this is Super Friends, so Obnixilis can go onto the Lathril. Although it doesn't, it goes onto Marwyn the Nurturer instead. And there's a Swiftfoot Boots, which I really like here. If they've got spot removal for Lathril, they'll probably do it in response to combat anyway. Yeah, I think we need to get some tokens into play at this point. So we'll deal 1 damage to the Obnixilis, take it further away from minusing down for 3 again, and we'll hit our opponent with the Lathril. We do need to deal damage to the player in order to get the tokens. And that lands, so now let's go for the Swiftfoot Boots and attempt to protect our Lathril. That goes on really quickly. Might as well, they're not going to play around heroic intervention, stuff like that. We might as well just empty our hand here. And we'll name Elf. So now they need to get black and or artifact creatures into play in order to block us. But they're probably looking at a board wipe at this point, which I imagine there's a lot of them in the deck because it is Super Friends by the looks of it. They plus with Obnixilis straight away, takes them down to 11. 5 cards in hand after playing a land. And they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 mana held up. 7 mana with the Mana Vault. And a Poison Tip Archer is our replacement for what went down before, the Nadia's Black Blade. I think we get that down now. Because if they've got something for us, they'll do it in response to attacks anyway. So we might have our opponent here. Let's go in at them like that. We'll ignore the Obnixilis here, against my better judgment. And they don't do anything during blocks, so let's sacrifice a couple of these elf tokens. Each opponent loses a life with the Poison Tip Archer whenever another creature dies. That is any creature, including our opponents. So we take them down to 9. We get +2 twice on our Lathril, which now has hexproof. So we're going to hit them for 6, and we can probably get the Aristocrat win off at this point. But our opponent's got other ideas. That is a Venser, Shaper Savant. Yeah, not entirely sure what they can do with that. They could keep us from recasting the Poison Tip Archer, but instead deciding to go after the Jiraga Tree Speaker. That is not the card that they wanted to get rid of there. Because we can get them out with Aristocrats, so they should have bounced the Poison Tip Archer, because all we do here is sacrifice 3 elves. So yeah, shouldn't have swung in with the Jiraga Tree Speaker, because if they had bounced the Poison Tip Archer, then we could have replayed it again with the Jiraga Tree Speaker. So yeah, that's a slight mistake on my part, but that was a more interactive game than it was going to be initially, or so I thought. So yeah, I think that was a good one. If you thought it was a good one as well, then be sure to leave it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel as well. It's free and it will keep you up to date with all the latest games from the channel. It'll put them in your subscription feed. Like I said, that doesn't cost you anything, so be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one, I hope. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.